See these lawnmowers? Today we're going to tune them up. So just one thing, if your mower has been sitting out in the pasture for the past 5 years, getting rained on, getting snowed on, most likely it doesn't need a tune-up, it needs a restoration. So just keep that in mind when giving me a call. Thanks. So I chose 3 lawnmowers here. We have 2 with 2 different types of Briggs & Stratton engines, and we have one with a Honda engine. So basically, first thing I would recommend doing would be changing the spark plug. It's always easy to find. You can see it right on the front of this mower here, as well as the Honda here. It's tucked down a little bit deeper in there, but you can see the cap. And then on the other Briggs & Stratton, the 6 horsepower Quantum engine, you can see the spark plug right there. So first of all, change all those spark plugs. Secondly, I would recommend replacing the air filters. Air filters are usually really easy to get to. You can see this is how you would get to the Quantum engine. There's the nut right there. The Honda here, it actually has a clip-on air filter cover. There's the air filter there. It's pretty dusty. It needs to be replaced. And on this Briggs engine right here, the air filter is underneath here, and it's a foam air filter. So this style of engine, you can actually just clean that air filter out with gasoline and then lightly re-oil it when you put it back on. Of course, if it's deteriorating at all, falling apart, you'll want to replace that. So an important part of a tune-up and for future stability of the mower, so it continues to run good for you, is to completely flush and dry the fuel tank and carburetor. It's really pretty easy to do. I have this tool here that just pumps it right out of the tank. I've also just tipped the mowers on their side and emptied the gas into a receptacle, and jammed paper towels down into the gas tank until it finally dried out, left it out in the sun for a while so it completely dries out. Compressed air, I usually blow in there. Anything that's in the gas tank, once it's dried out, comes flying out of the hole when you blow compressed air in there, so that's a good way to clean it out. On the Honda here, same type of deal. You can actually disconnect the fuel lines on this model and drain the fuel tank that way. And once again, it's important to let the fuel tank dry out completely, so I let it sit out in the sun for several hours and blow compressed air through there, blow compressed air through the fuel line, make sure everything's clear. Same deal on the 6 horsepower Briggs & Stratton. Just tip it on its side, empty it out. So in addition to cleaning and drying the fuel tank, you're also going to want to do that to the carburetor to the best of your ability. Let's take this Honda. They're pretty easy. You can see the carburetor float bowl right here, and there's just the one 10mm nut on the very bottom that you take off, and the whole float bowl comes off, and you can drain it out, clean it out that way. On the Honda, pretty straightforward. One bolt. On the 6 horsepower Briggs & Stratton, we have the same type of deal. So you can get to the carburetor float bowl under here, and there's also one nut that holds it on. It's a ½ inch. That's right. All these are ½ inch. Simply take that float bowl off, clean it out, clean out the carburetor the best you can, and reassemble. This Briggs engine here actually has a different style of carburetor. It doesn't have a float bowl, it has a diaphragm. If you have runnability problems to clean out that carburetor, you're going to have to watch one of my other videos on how to do that. So most mowers do have a drain plug on the bottom of the engine, but I've found it just as easy to loosen the oil plug and tip it on its side. Here's the oil drain or fill on this particular mower. Looks like on the Honda it's right there, and on the 6 horsepower Quantum it's right here. So just run the mowers for a few minutes to get the oil warm and tip it on its side, drain it all out. And most of these mowers take less than a quart, anywhere from half a quart to 3/4 of a quart. So make sure not to overfill it. That'll give you a whole bunch of different problems. So the last thing you can do to tune up your mower is sharpen the blades if you have a grinder or a steel file and a lot of determination. The best way to tip up your lawnmower to get to the blade, whenever you need to get to the blade, let's say for cleaning or whatever, you always want to tip it up from the front. You want to keep the spark plug high. What happens if you tip it up any other way, it can cause the oil inside the engine to shift to parts of the engine where you don't want it. So always pick the mower up from the front. And I can't remember if I mentioned it's usually a 9/16 or a 5/8 bolt that holds the blade on. If you have pneumatic tools, that's the best way to take it off. Otherwise you're going to need a piece of wood to jam in there, keep the blade from spinning while you take it off. Don't forget to balance the blade too, folks. That's an important part. Thank you. If your lawnmower has any other runnability issues, check out my other how-to videos. Thanks.